Before we headed to Aconcagua, we wanted to make sure our bodies could adapt to high altitude in advance. One of the best ways to track our progress was by creating this detailed treadmill high altitude training tracker. Let's walk through how we used it and explain why each column matters. This table helped us monitor our daily treadmill sessions while using the Hypoxico altitude mask. We recorded important details like altitude, oxygen settings, physical performance, and how we felt each day. First, we tracked the date of every training session. This helped us see trends over time, like how our oxygen tolerance improved after consistent practice. Next, we recorded the incline setting on the treadmill. We started with 0% incline and gradually increased it as we got stronger. Higher incline simulates steeper mountain terrain, which is critical for training both legs and lungs. These two columns show the oxygen percentage and flow rate we set using the Hypoxico machine. At sea level, normal oxygen concentration is about 21%, but we trained at reduced levels like 10.3% to simulate altitudes above 18,310 feet. By slowly lowering the oxygen percentage, we forced our bodies to adapt to thinner air. Here, we recorded how many miles we completed during each session. It helped us track our endurance and compare performance over time at different oxygen settings and inclines. Instead of thinking only in oxygen percentages, we also recorded the corresponding altitude in feet. For example, 14,500 feet corresponds to around 11.9% oxygen. This made it easier to visualize the elevation we were preparing for, like Base Camp, Plaza de Mula, Camp 2 and Camp 3 on Aconcagua. Here, we tracked our actual blood oxygen saturation every 5 minutes using a wearable oximeter. If our oxygen saturation dropped below 70%, we immediately stopped training to avoid pushing too hard and risking altitude sickness. Monitoring this closely helped us safely increase intensity without overexerting. Finally, we kept subjective notes about how we felt during or after each session. Things like felt strong, mild headache, or needed to take a break gave us a full picture of our body's response to each altitude level. This qualitative data was just as important as the numbers. We used these signals to adjust our training plan in real time. For example, when we transitioned to 12,900 feet, my wife's oxygen level dropped from 92% to 86%, and she started breathing heavily. So, instead of pushing higher, she decided to stay at the same altitude and continue tracking both her physical condition and oxygen levels. The next day, although her oxygen saturation remained about the same, she felt much stronger overall. At that point, she was ready, and we safely increased the altitude setting. This detailed tracking helped us spot patterns early, like noticing fatigue when reaching higher simulated altitudes. Adjust training intensity safely. Build both physical and mental endurance over time. Avoid common mistakes like pushing too fast or training too hard at low oxygen levels. If you're doing your own altitude training, here are our top tips. Always start slow and test how your body reacts at lower simulated altitudes. Focus on gradual progress, not rapid gains. Track your oxygen levels carefully and listen to your body. Take rest days when needed. Recovery is critical at simulated high altitudes. Thanks for following our altitude training journey. In our next video, we'll dive into how sleeping in the altitude tent helped us even more with pre-acclimatization. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you have questions about training for high altitude climbs. Track your oxygen levels carefully and listen to your body. Take rest days when needed. Recovery is critical at simulated high altitudes.